Day one, Jesus' public ministry. The young man who up until then had been the village carpenter in Nazareth comes to meet his second cousin John. John has been baptizing people in the River Jordan, people who have come with a sense of their faults and their mistakes, looking for a new beginning in life. And John has been baptizing them. And Jesus comes to join that crowd. And despite his protests, John agrees to baptize Jesus as well. And when he comes up out of the river, Jesus hears a voice from heaven, God affirming, "This is my Son, whom I love." And that affirmation from God has set a ball rolling for us that has questions for us even today. And this is a question about identity, and identity is a big issue in our society. People sometimes struggle to work out their sense of identity and who they are. And for us, the sense of who Jesus is equally an issue for us to resolve and understand what it is that we believe about him. The Creed says that we believe in Jesus Christ, God's only Son. If we were to do a little vox pop, and the question would be, who is Jesus? You would come up, I suspect, with lots of different answers, some of them better than others. There was another day when Jesus and his friends were talking, and he said to them, "What are people saying about me? What's the word on the street?" And his friends came up with lots of answers, until finally Jesus said, "What about you? What do you think?" And Peter declared his faith and said, "You are Messiah, the Son of the living God." And that declaration has been, in many ways, the foundation of what the church has believed about Jesus ever since. And one of the answers that people give to this question of who is Jesus now would suggest that he is somehow an imaginary figure from legend. But really, there is solid historical evidence for the existence of Jesus of Nazareth. But when we get to the question of understanding who Jesus is, we move from that sense of the historical evidence to what we believe. This is a question of faith. What do we believe about Jesus? Who do we say that he is? And how we understand Jesus is a huge issue. He stands at the centre of the church, the centre of our faith, the centre of the church's message to the world. And so it's important that we understand who he is. The early church had a very clever way of showing people where they were, and they had a little symbol of a fish that was a symbol that kind of identified that this is a place where Christians meet. And the symbol of the fish itself is a very clever code, because the Greek word for fish, ichthus, is a code which was used to stand for the sense of Jesus Christ, God's Son, Saviour. And that has been the core, in a sense, of the church's understanding of who Jesus is. But we've struggled for almost the whole of the church's life to understand how this solid historical figure that is Jesus of Nazareth, this real human being, could at the same time be the Son of God. And people have tried to reconcile these things in all kinds of different ways. The Bible doesn't do that. The Bible simply says to us, here is Jesus, the real human being, the solid historical figure, and here is Jesus, God's Son. Both are true. Believe both of them. And that's been the challenge for us, not only to believe that, but to tell the world. When he came into the world, Jesus did some extraordinary things. He healed the sick, he helped blind people to see and the lame to walk, and other miraculous things as well. And when people saw these things, they were amazed, both his friends and his enemies alike. And later these things are described as his credentials. These are the reasons for believing. These are the ways in which we see this extraordinary person of Jesus Christ doing extraordinary things, understanding that he is able to do this because he is God's Son. And because he has that identity, he is able to save us. And he is someone who is worthy of our trust now, 2,000 years later. So the Creed invites us to say, we believe in Jesus Christ, God's only Son,